So there's Christians asking me for proof that Nimrod is the Trinity. All right, here it is. Isaiah 14 verse 12. Jesus says, "O Lucifer, son of the dawn," which is the sun god, Nimrod, right? Son of the dawn, morning star, Horus. It all goes back to Nimrod because the Trinity always belonged to Nimrod. The resurrection of the Romans is Nimrod's resurrection. That's when the Trinity is needed. Before Jesus, before any Romans, there were Egyptians and Babylonians that worshiped the same God. That's why they chose December 25, and that's why it all represents the Trinity, the resurrection, the birthday, the tradition with the tree, all for Nimrod. It's because the Romans, the Masons, infiltrated Christianity. And that's why in the last message, we know Judas was on the cross and Jesus never became the Trinity of Nimrod. So Isaiah 14, 12 to 15 is talking about Nimrod. And here we have in the Bible and in the Quran, we got direct connections to Judas being on the cross since he was the one who betrayed Jesus. And that's why in the last message, we say Jesus never got crucified, because the Trinity is always for Nimrod. Before Jesus Christ, the Romans worshipped Nimrod with names like Adonis, Dionysus, Horus, Zeus. All of these go back to Nimrod's Trinity. And that's how you know the Muslim Jesus in the Holy Quran is the true Jesus who followed Mark 12:29. Now, this is a continuation of the bloodline of Shem, Jesus Christ's lineage. Shem is where the Quran came from. So the same bloodline is declaring the same exact commandments of Jesus Christ, the Son of Mary. The Lord is one. And now you see why it's not three. Because since the time of Prophet Abraham and Nimrod, Nimrod has been the opposition and his lineage have been infiltrating the message. And that's why you could see in the last message, Judas was on the cross, because in the Bible itself, Judas died two different ways. There should not be any contradictions with Judas at all. But Judas was on the cross because he betrayed Jesus. And that was his punishment from God for betraying Jesus. So it turns out the Quran follows the Old Testament traditions of the Holy Torah and the Holy Bible that Jesus followed. The Old Testament laws and commands are scattered within this Quran. And remember, the Holy Quran is not a book of words. It's a book of frequency. It's meant to be heard, not read only. It's meant to be heard and felt. Imagine a vibration. Holy Quran's frequency and vibrations of recitations, it's meant to be heard, brings heart-brain coherence, increasing cognitive functions and intelligence. Because your body, your brain waves are associated with light, photons, or mercy, God's love, the heart's electromagnetic field. So when we praise and when we recite the words in the scripture, it's at a wavelength because the words are a Semitic Arabic language, a continuation of Aramaic, Nabatean Aramaic. Arabic is a continuation, and that repetition of continuation allows for coherence because the frequency of your voice and the recitation of the Quran becomes like a wavelength, right? Like you're listening to music and you're looking at a wavelength. Now, when you're speaking English, what happens? You're cutting off the words. The words are not connected. And it's not a Semitic language. Semitic is when the words are one connected tone, a wavelength. That's what Semitic is doing in order to increase alpha and theta waves in your brain. The recitation of the Quran, that's what it's really doing within. So when you recite the words of God, you're increasing your memory, your cognitive functions, your brain waves are alpha patterns, your heart's electromagnetic field is expanding. Heart-brain coherence is the scientific explanation of expanding your heart's electromagnetic field and receiving intuition and insight from the Earth's electromagnetic field. All of this is happening while returning the Old Testament commandments, while explaining the stories of history and the prophets of God from the Old Testament, and bringing the message from Prophet Abraham's blessing on Ishmael's lineage to give them a prayer direction like Prophet Isaac's lineage facing Jerusalem.
It's Mary! She's asking us to speak to her newborn baby in her arms. As your representative, I am willing to speak to him in front of all these people. Who are you, my dear child? Please introduce yourself to this crowd.
قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا وبرا بوالدتي ولم يجعلني جبارا شقيا والسلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا.